Don't be that couple that's been dating for 2 years, it gets engaged, puts a deposit down on a venue, goes to premarital counseling, and then realize you can't live together because this person has this issue and this person has this issue and it's never gonna work. What's up guys, it's Ariel Elizabeth. Welcome to my channel. So today I am super excited because today we are jumping into the real of Christian dating. Okay, we're gonna be talking about tips. I'm gonna be giving you guys some confessions. We're gonna be going really deep, and I'm really excited about this video, so let's go. So the first tip I have for you guys is that it is better to be single than to date or to marry the wrong person. Okay, as Christians, first of all, we know that we find our wholeness in the Lord. We don't find our wholeness in other people. That being said, we all go through seasons, and singleness is a season that each one of us has to walk through and navigate. And everybody learns something different in their singleness season, and everybody's in their season for a different period of time. So the first thing I want to say is that you need to cherish your singleness season. Don't be so quick to hop into a relationship or to get married that you miss out on the blessing of only having to worry about yourself, and you miss out on the blessing of what God is trying to show you while you're single. That being said, it can literally destroy your life. Of course, it can destroy your life if you marry the wrong person, if you marry somebody that you're unequally yoked with. But it can equally destroy your life if you even date somebody that you are unequally yoked with, because you are still coupling yourself with that person, spending a lot of time with that person, and gaining the character traits of that person. That's why you should be very wary of who you decide that you're gonna date or court. You should always talk to God first before you decide to make the decisions to date somebody, and especially to marry somebody. That being said, I do want to say that, of course, not every person you date you're going to marry, but just because you didn't marry that person doesn't mean you weren't supposed to date them. Now, this is just my opinion because I've seen it in my life where I wanted to date somebody, I prayed about it, I felt like God gave me the go ahead, and then after a couple months I realized I wasn't really feeling like, I don't know, nothing was wrong in the relationship, but I prayed to God like, hey God, is this my husband? And 2 weeks later I lost all attraction for that person, and then I realized that was my answer. He wasn't. But I learned a lot of things in that relationship. So it would be very hard for me to go back and just think and doubt myself like, I wonder if I heard God wrong when he told me that it was okay to date that person. I don't think I heard God wrong. I think that there were things in that relationship that I had to learn. The specific relationship that I'm talking about, the main thing I learned in that relationship was celibacy. Before I dated that person, I had never been celibate before. I never practiced celibacy. I never thought I could do it. I didn't think I was strong enough. And in that relationship, I learned that I can honor God with my body. I can have self-control. And that's something that I was able to bring into my current relationship. So that being said, I do think that you learn things from dating people, even if that person is not going to be your husband or your wife. Now, in saying that, you really have to hear God and hear what God is telling you. Because if God is telling you that you are only going to date one person and that person is going to be your husband or wife, then go with that, sis. Go with it. Don't be out here. I mean, nobody should be out here dating people willy-nilly. But if that's what God told you, that the one is going to be the one, then go with that. But if you didn't hear that, don't think that you're less Christian because that's somebody else's story. One thing in Christian dating is everybody, they see other Christian couples and they want things to be like this and want things to be like that. Everybody has their own story. So just because their story is that that's the only person that she ever dated, the only person she ever had sex with, and she married him and they have a great life, it doesn't mean that it's your story. You have to listen to God for what your story is. Because if you try to chase after that person's story, it's not going to make you happy, okay? So that being said, my next tip is that if you find somebody you're interested in, check their fruit. Matthew 7:16-18 says this: By their fruit you will recognize them. Do people pick grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? Likewise, every good tree bears good fruit, and a bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot bear bad fruit. So in this verse, Jesus was talking about recognizing false prophets. But I kind of take the verse and just apply it anywhere, because basically what the verse is saying is that just because something looks good doesn't mean that it is good. So if you find somebody that you think you might be interested in, start to research them a little. Start to ask, if you find them in church, start to ask your pastors, maybe your friends, their friends, maybe stalk them a little bit if you need to. You know, I'm a stalker, guys. I'm just saying, like, I need to make sure that you're not trying to kill me or cheat on me. No, but for real, guys, just research them, befriend them if you're not friends with them. But you definitely need to find out about their fruit, find out about what they're producing, because they may look great on the outside, but behind closed doors, they're a liar, they're a cheater, they aren't humble, they don't have integrity. Like, you never know. And you don't, like I said in the last tip, you don't want to yoke yourself to somebody that is you're unequally yoked, because that person can ruin your life. So make sure to check their fruit. As Christians, we're like infamous for rushing into relationships. But it's important that you take the time to step back and make sure that this person is producing what it seems like they're producing. In a past relationship, I kind of rushed into it really quickly, and I kind of really didn't do my due diligence when it comes to figuring out what this person's fruit was. Then later on, after I had already become this person's girlfriend, I would hear from this person and this person, you know, what this person's fruit was. And of course I was already their girlfriend, so it's like I couldn't break up with them over what somebody else told me. But if I had knew this stuff beforehand, I probably would have taken a step back before I accepted their proposal to be their girlfriend. So just make sure that you're looking at people's fruit and what they're producing. My next tip is don't rush, okay? Don't rush. Christians are literally infamous for rushing into marriage. And if you didn't know, the reason why Christians are infamous for rushing into marriage is because we want to have sex. That's the long and the short of it. Christians can't do what the secular world does. The secular world moves in together before they're married, has sex, all that stuff. We can't do that. So when we meet somebody and we love them and it looks good and God checks it off, we're like, okay, we good, we ready to go. Whether that's in 6 months or 2 years, whatever it is, Christians are literally infamous for rushing into things. I'm here to tell you, don't rush. And when my boyfriend watches this video, he's going to look at me crazy, because I literally look at him like this every day. I'm not perfect, guys. I'm not perfect. But I'm here to tell you, don't rush. You have to consult God about the timeline for your relationship. And like I said before, you cannot look at other people and make other people's story your story. Just because they met and they courted and then they got married in 6 months, that doesn't mean anything to your relationship. Just like somebody who met and courted for 5 years and then got married doesn't mean anything to your relationship. You have to consult God about your relationship. And this is mainly for men, because men are the ones who are supposed to know when that's supposed to happen. I remember early on in my relationship, this is probably about 6 or 8 months in, I was talking to Matthew and I was like, so what's your timeline? Women love this question. What's your timeline? Because my timeline is, I'm not dating you for more than 2 years. That's me. Because in my head, all I'm thinking about is, you got a job, I got a job, can we support each other, can we love each other, does it check off? In my mind, that's what I'm thinking about. So in my mind, all of that's already checked off. So I'm good. So I'm telling him, I'm not dating you for over 2 years without a ring. That's my timeline. And when I asked him what his timeline was, he was like, whenever God tells me. And at first I thought that was like a cop-out, like you're trying to get out of what I'm asking you. That's not an answer. And of course it started a fight. I was just like, that's not an answer. Looking back on it now, that was the wise thing, and it still is the wise thing, because I had to understand that there is a difference between knowing that somebody is supposed to be your husband or your wife and knowing that you're ready to get married. This is where a lot of Christian couples mess up because they think they're one and the same. They think that if this person is supposed to be my husband or my wife, that means we're ready to get married. And that's not the case. Because, and when I'm talking about ready to get married, like I said before, it's not just talking about financials. It's talking about, are you mature enough to get married? Have you handled your demons before you bring all of that into our new mix, our new married mix? Because your boyfriend that you want to be your husband could be dealing with purity issues that he's trying to take care of before y'all get married, but you're rushing him, so he has to hurry up, and then y'all get married and he cheats. Or your girlfriend, soon to be wife, is dealing with abandonment issues that she's trying to take care of before y'all get married, but you're rushing her, so she just pushes it to the side, and the next thing you know, you're wondering why she's so far gone from your relationship when you said one thing bad to her, because she has abandonment issues. And these are things that the Lord takes out and tries to help us with during the dating and the courting process, but we have to let the Lord do his thing. That's why it's very important not to rush. And like I said before, your timeline is your timeline. Do not let anybody shame you about your timeline. And by the way, the rushing not only talks about marriage, but it also talks about even your timeline in deciding that this person's going to be your boyfriend or your girlfriend. My boyfriend waited a month of us dating before he asked me to be his girlfriend. It's not always like that. It could be longer, it could be shorter. So write your own story, guys. That being said, I kind of have a little confession that I have to make. Christian dating is not as fun as it looks. I don't know if it looks fun, but if it does look fun, it's not as fun as it looks, okay? It's not as fun as it looks because Christians are held to a higher standard than the secular world. We constantly have to deal with the boundaries that we have to put in place for our relationship. My friends can do a lot of things that me and Matthew cannot, because we are held to a different standard because we're believers. Also, you know, the Lord convicts everybody's heart, but he convicts his followers' hearts even more about their relationship. So there are things in the past that I would kind of brush off, but now I have to make sure that he's healed because I said that, because that wasn't nice. Or things like that. It's a lot more, you know, than your regular, like, we're just gonna go on with what we're doing. I really feel like the best and the worst thing about Christian dating is that there is a purpose attached to your union, right? Every single person on this earth has a purpose, but powerful kingdom couples have a purpose attached to their union. Me as a person, I can reach my purpose, but I can only go up to like right here, right? Matthew can only go up to right here, but together we can go further because there is a purpose attached to our union. But the issue and the problem comes in when the enemy knows that there's a purpose attached to your union, so he tries to break your union up before there even is a union. It's very hard for powerful kingdom couples because you really have to make the commitment to be with that person before you even say I do. Me and Matthew had to already make the commitment to fight for each other. It's very easy for the enemy to break up your relationship before you get married because you don't have that commitment to each other. Marriages are very hard to break up, but regular dating relationships, the enemy's like piece of cake that's done, and that's why he's going to attack you when you're dating. That's why you really have to make that commitment to your significant other that we're going to fight for this relationship, we're going to fight for each other, and most of all, we're going to fight for our purpose together. Honestly, it's never about me and Matthew. It's about what God is trying to do through me and Matthew. If it was just about Matthew, I would have broke up with him. He would have broke up with me a long time ago because I'm annoying and he's annoying, okay? And we both make mistakes. But it's never been about me and Matthew. It's what is God trying to do between me and Matthew that my pride is getting in the way of because I can't get over XYZ. He can't get over XYZ. So that's what's one of the hard things about being a powerful Christian kingdom couple, especially, you know, while you're dating. Marriage is a whole different thing. I can't speak on it because I'm not there yet, but I'm sure somebody will tell you about that type of warfare. We're not at that marriage warfare yet, but I'm talking about the dating warfare, okay? And this is even talking about it from a spiritual perspective, but when we turn it to a carnal and a fleshly perspective, we're talking about, I have to trust this person, that this person's gonna fight for me, and I'm gonna fight for them even though they haven't made that commitment yet. You know what I mean? So it can get very, very hard. But one of the best things about it is that it makes us much stronger as a couple, and it brings us closer to God because we know exactly what we're fighting for. And also, you get to walk in purpose with your best friend. I mean, what's better than that, right? All right, back to the tips. All right, so my next tip is to set boundaries from the beginning. Set boundaries before you mess up, guys. And by mess up, yes, I mean before you have premarital sex. Set boundaries. And no, I am not going into the premarital sex thing on this video. If y'all want me to do a video about that, comment down below, because that's a whole different thing. But set boundaries before you guys make mistakes. These boundaries are going to help you guys from falling into temptations that can be, easily avoided. Like the other things I said, your boundaries are not going to be the same as other people's boundaries. Me and my boyfriend's boundaries are not the same boundaries that me and my ex had, or our mentors had when they were courting, or our friends have. They're different. And you really have to feel out your relationship to kind of figure out what works for you. Me and my boyfriend, we spent a lot of time together because we run a business together. So we've honestly just had to learn self-control because we got to be together, so we can't be doing the do. But that's not the case for everybody, and you really have to talk to your partner and have a deep, in-depth conversation with your partner about, okay, what are our boundaries? Your boundaries could look like, I can't be at your house past 10 o'clock, or we can't be together in my room with the doors closed because we know something's gonna happen, or even like literally as deep as you can't kiss me like that, because when you kiss me like that, it turns me on. And literally, like, you may think that I'm doing the most, but this is the real, guys. Like, this is seriously like the things that need to happen, because if you don't have these conversations, you know what turns you on. And if you don't have these conversations with your partner, you guys are gonna mess up, and then you'll get attacked. Listen, like I said, that's a different video. And I know a lot of this sounds very like childish. Trust me, I know. When I first heard it, I'm like, I could do what I want, when I want, with who I want, like what? And I kind of had to bring myself back, like, yeah, Ariel, you can do what you want when you want, but should you do what you want when you want? Nope. I definitely shouldn't. And that's kind of how I had to look at it. Like, yeah, I can do what I want, but I want to do what God wants. And I want to make sure I'm honoring God with my body. And if that means that I can't be at this guy's house past 10 o'clock, then I'll be out 9:59 every single night. You know what I mean? But definitely set those boundaries, because those are going to help you in your relationship to make sure that you're staying pure and out of temptation. The next tip I have is to get premarital counseling early. Okay, guys? Don't be that couple that's been dating for 2 years, it gets engaged, puts a deposit down on a venue, goes to premarital counseling, and then realize you can't live together because this person has this issue and this person has this issue, and it's never gonna work. Okay, don't be that person. I know that premarital counseling is usually said to be done after being engaged, but all of the pastors and stuff that I've spoken to have always said to do it before. And after going through premarital counseling with Matthew, I realized why. It's because premarital counseling, it's not the spiritual, relationship stuff. Like, your pastor is going to take care of that. Premarital counseling is literally who's going to wash the dishes, who's going to walk the dog every day, how many times a week are we going to have sex, are the kids going to public school or private school, what's our exact budget going to be. That is what premarital counseling is. It's literally the day in and day out of marriage. That's what premarital counseling is. And I honestly feel like a lot of Christian couples don't even know that that's what it is, but that's what it is. And I feel like, once you get to around the 6 to 8 month mark is when you should probably bring up the conversation like, hey, I think we should go and do premarital counseling. Because if you're going around 6 to 8 months and you're not engaged or anything, and you're going with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, you can go into it with an open mind. You can go into it and then maybe you thinking like, I don't even know if I can live with this person. Then it's easy to break off. But if you're going into premarital counseling with a ring on your finger and you've already sent out wedding invitations, you're going into it with a closed mind. You might as well just leave it until after you're married, because at that point you're not going to want to break up. So that's why I always tell anybody who I talk to get premarital counseling early, because honestly guys, not a lot of people break up from premarital counseling. But if you're gonna break up from premarital counseling, do it before you spend money on a ring. That's all I'm saying. All right guys, so my next tip is to get a mentor. Now, this is a tip coming specifically from me, only because I've seen the benefits of a mentor time and time again in my relationship. And that's the reason why I tell everybody that I can to get a mentor, especially if you are a Christian couple who works in ministry and you're a kingdom couple, you're a powerful Christian couple. I think it's very important to get a mentor. These are people who are going to cover you spiritually. They're going to pray for you. These are people who are going to answer your calls when you guys need help. I just cannot not recommend that every Christian couple has a mentor. A mentor is also important because when you and your partner mess up, they are the ones who are going to prayerfully cover you. You guys have to understand that like premarital sex and stuff like that, those are literally sins against your own flesh. Like you're literally attacking yourself. So it's very important that you have a mentor that's going to be able to cover you guys and pray over you guys and get rid of all of those things that you let in when you open those doors. And when you're looking for a mentor, you should prayerfully consider them. I know the mentors that me and Matthew have in our relationship, we both knew them personally before we met each other. So it kind of just worked out, and they kind of just fell in our lap. We never really asked them to be our mentors. They just became that, which is like the best way that it happens. So, but yeah, shout out to Patrick and Lily and Benjamin and Gloria. We love you guys. Thank you guys for always prayerfully covering us and answering our phone calls, because we know we crazy. So my next tip is to pray together, especially after mishaps. Prayer is literally going to be your most powerful weapon when you're combating the enemy. And you always have to make sure and remind yourself that you're not fighting against each other. You're fighting with each other against the enemy. And prayer is going to help that, especially when you guys mess up, when you have premarital sex, when you have any other mess ups. You guys have to make sure that you're praying together. Literally, and then praying together is actually going to help you and your partner come closer to each other and come closer to God. I have never been as close to God as I am now in my relationship with Matthew. And the reason why that is because God has had to show me through my relationship with Matthew that Matthew's not my foundation, but God is my foundation, you know? And it takes you loving someone that much, but having to kind of step back from it and being like, you know what? I love you, Matthew, but you're not my foundation. God is my foundation. When you are constantly praying together, you know, this is you and this is your partner. You're constantly praying together. You're coming closer to God, but you're also coming closer together. You know, that's kind of how it works. Your partner. So yeah, make sure that you're always praying with your partner. That's how you guys are going to get stronger. That's how you guys are going to combat the enemy. And especially, like I said before, when you guys make mistakes and you start to get attacked, don't ask me no questions. Comment down below if you want the video. But when you start to get attacked, prayer is what's going to help you the most. So my next tip is to create a safe space for your partner. This is something that I really didn't do well at the beginning of my relationship. It caused a lot of muffled communication in my relationship, because it was kind of like when my boyfriend would come to me and speak to me about something, I would always get mad and it would always cause an argument, or I would just be mad at him. And you know what? Maybe I had the right to be mad, maybe I didn't. But even if I did have the right to get mad, me getting mad about it wasn't helping the situation. You know, there's a difference between me wanting to rectify the situation and me wanting to be right. And a lot of the time it was, you know, me choosing me over us, like we talked about earlier. So I really had to learn how to create that safe space for him. And what a safe space is, and him for me as well, but I'm talking because, you know, I'm talking to y'all. What a safe space is basically if he needs to come to me and speak to me about something that's on his heart, how he's feeling, whether it be something that's going on with work or whatever, or even something in our relationship, he knows that he is free to come and speak to me about something, and he knows that I'm not going to get mad at him about it. I am not going to yell at him about it. I'm not going to crucify him about it. If it's something that, doesn't really need to be discussed and he's just getting it off his chest, then that's fine. But if it's something that does need to be discussed, if I feel like I can have a conversation with him in that moment that's going to be peaceful and is actually going to rectify the situation or is going to help, then I'll have that conversation then. But, which is what happens most of the time, but if I feel like if I have this conversation with you now, we're literally gonna fight, then what I'll do is I'll just say, okay, babe, I hear you. Then I'll take some time, I'll stew on the information, I'll digest it, and I will bring it back up to him when I feel like we can have a reasonable conversation about it. It might be a couple hours later or it might be a couple days later, but I do feel like this is something that has helped our communication very, very much, because it's allowed us to have open communication without fear that it's always going to be a problem. You know what I mean? And I feel like this is a really, really great idea for any couples that might be struggling with that issue, that you feel like every time you bring something up, it's a problem. So yeah, safe space, guys. My next tip is to spend as much time together as you can. Now listen, I know this is contrary to what a lot of people will say. A lot of people will say, you shouldn't spend a lot of time together, give each other space and da-da-da-da-da-da. My answer to those people is, I'm going to do with what I want with my relationship, and that's what you should do too. How I think about it is literally, my life is only going to get bigger from where I am at now. And my boyfriend's life, my husband, at some point, his life is only going to get bigger from where we are now. We are only going to grow our ministry more, get a bigger following, get a bigger family. We're going to have kids one day. And all of that means that we're going to have less and less time than we do now. So to me, I'm just like, I want to cherish the time that I have now. Nobody wants their life to get smaller. Everybody's life is going to get bigger. So cherish the time that you have now. And if this is truly the person that you're really sitting here and saying, like, this is really my best friend, not only do I love them, but I actually like my boyfriend. I actually like to spend time with him. And, barring, the boundaries that we talked about earlier, and also, of course, personal space, because we all need our personal time. I like to spend as much time with him as possible. It's okay to be, a little bit obsessed with your person. That's your person. God gave them to you. Be a little bit obsessed with them. Jump on them sometimes for no reason. Why not? People are very serious and so political about these things. Like, why does it even matter? You love that person. They love you. Spend as much time together as you want to. It's just a thing for me. I just really hate when people try to speak on other people's relationships, because honestly, I'm going to spend as much time with my boyfriend as I want, and you can't say anything about it because he's mine. That's how I be feeling. But honestly, guys, the main point of it all is to do what makes you happy. God gave you this person. You guys have your own relationship. Like, this whole time, I've just basically been saying that, you can't look at other people's relationship and make it your standard. Everybody has their own relationship. So I think it's very important to judge your relationship by what you know is going on, because nobody knows your relationship better than you. So I think that's really, really important, guys. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, if there's certain things in the video that you want me to clarify, or if you guys want me to go deeper in depth about premarital sex and getting attacked and all of that stuff, comment down below and let me know. Make sure you guys subscribe, click that alarm to get notified every single time I post a new video. And remember that I love you guys. I post new videos every Wednesday. See y'all next time.